There are moments when money disappears, and along with it, love seems to fade away too. The silence grows heavier. Conversations turn into arguments, and what once was partnership begins to transform into distrust, blame, and guilt. Many men and women after 40 know what it feels like to look at the person they love and sense that the financial crisis has become a deep abyss between them, as if failure with money had turned into failure in love. But was it really money that destroyed the marriage? Or was it the pain, the shame, and the fear that money merely revealed? Financial failure doesn't just destroy numbers. It directly strikes one's sense of self-worth, the role of provider, self-esteem, and the feeling of dignity. According to recent studies, money is one of the 3 leading causes of divorce worldwide. And it's not because of the bills themselves, it's because of what they represent. When a couple enters a financial crisis, the brain interprets it as a threat to survival. The body reacts with anxiety, sleep worsens, and conversations become defensive. The man feels pressured, the woman feels unsafe, both feel ashamed. And love, which once seemed solid, begins to be tested by the invisible, by lack. Couple psychology shows that financial crises rarely destroy relationships on their own. They simply reveal old cracks, the lack of communication, imbalance of roles, the absence of true listening, and the illusion that love alone would be enough to hold everything together. But love, without awareness, doesn't survive in the long run. Let's talk about the damages that financial failure causes inside a marriage. First, the damage to self-image. One of the partners begins to feel less capable, less worthy, and that drains desire, enthusiasm, and motivation. Second, the damage to communication. Out of shame or fear of disappointing, dialogue stops, and silence becomes the new resident of the house. Third, the damage to trust. The other begins to doubt not only their partner's ability, but their shared future itself. Fourth, the damage to emotional intimacy. When the fear of not being able to pay the bills invades the bedroom, the body tightens, the touch grows cold. Fifth, the damage to hope. The couple loses their vision of the future, and when there's no vision, love loses direction. But there's good news. All of this can be rebuilt. Because money isn't the enemy, it's only the thermometer. And when the thermometer shows a fever, the problem isn't in the instrument, but in the system. Couples therapy shows that the turning point comes when both partners stop searching for blame and start searching for meaning. When financial failure is treated as a symptom, not a sentence. Couples who survive financial crises share something in common. They learn to separate results from worth. They understand that losing money isn't the same as losing value, that a negative bank balance doesn't reflect the emotional balance between two people, and that a crisis, when faced with awareness, can become the fertile soil for a new kind of love, more mature, more truthful, more prosperous. Maybe you've been through that. Maybe you've seen your partner's eyes change when the money was gone. Or maybe you've blamed yourself, believing you destroyed what you worked so hard to build. But listen carefully. Financial failure is a phase, not an identity. You are not the mistake you made. You are the consciousness that learned from it. There are countless stories that prove this. The American entrepreneur Chris Gardner, whose life inspired the film The Pursuit of Happiness, also went through one of the greatest financial and emotional crises ever recorded. Before becoming a millionaire, he slept in shelters with his young son, faced debts, rejection, and the pain of seeing his marriage fall apart. But Gardner rebuilt his life upon a new understanding, that money is a consequence of mindset and faith in oneself, not the other way around. He used to say, "You can lose everything you have, except your ability to start over." And it was precisely that awareness that transformed him, from a man in ruins into a symbol of resilience and prosperity. Studies in positive psychology show that couples who go through financial crises together and choose forgiveness develop emotional bonds even stronger than before the crisis. Why? Because shared pain creates empathy, and empathy is the invisible glue of emotional prosperity. Rebuilding love and trust after a crisis isn't simple, but it's possible and profoundly transformative. It begins with recognizing the pain without denial, without dramatizing, without shifting blame. It's looking at each other and saying, "We failed, but we're still here." Then comes the rebuilding of trust. Small actions, small promises kept, gestures that show commitment. And finally, the creation of a new life project, a financial plan built together, transparent and conscious. Not a plan based on the fear of losing, but on the desire to grow. Studies show that couples who talk openly about money have 75% less chance of divorce. The reason is simple. Money is energy, and energy must flow. When there are secrets, the flow is blocked. When there is dialogue, it's restored. Now think with me. How many couples do you know who loved each other deeply, but got lost in their finances? And how many could have found each other again if they had seen the crisis not as punishment, but as a call to evolution? At 40, 50, or 60 years old, starting over is an act of courage. It's admitting that love can be rebuilt, that trust can be reborn, and that prosperity can return on a foundation far stronger than before. Because now, you don't just want to make money, you want to grow together. So, if today your relationship feels fragile because of money, don't give up. Transform that pain into learning. Ask yourself, what can I do from this moment on to rebuild with awareness what I once built with passion? Love doesn't end when money runs out. It ends when hope dies. But if you keep hope alive, it begins to bloom again. And so does money. Because prosperity is coherence. When the heart aligns with purpose, the universe cooperates. Never forget, you didn't lose love. You lost the illusion. And when the illusion falls, true love can finally appear. Financial and emotional rebuilding after 40 is one of the most beautiful chapters in human life. It's the moment you realize that value isn't in your balance, it's in your consciousness. That money comes and goes, but conscious love, once rebuilt, becomes unshakable. And that the crisis, which once looked like destruction, was actually the beginning of reconstruction. So take a deep breath, be grateful for the lesson, and say to yourself, I choose to rebuild with love, awareness, and prosperity. Because true wealth isn't about never falling. It's about rising differently, with more wisdom, more unity, and a new vision of abundance that begins within and reflects in everything. The couple's connection and harmony will always depend on truth and transparency. With truth and transparency, open and clear dialogue becomes possible. And with that clarity, it's possible to realign a new path where both partners take actions in harmony with each other. That alignment paves the way to rebuild a new story, one with greater strength and deeper companionship. If this video spoke to you, like, comment, and share. Write in the comments, I choose to rebuild with love and awareness. Keep following our videos on emotional, mental, and financial prosperity after 40. And check out our programs for developing a prosperous financial mindset in the first pinned comment.